Admiral Zexathara's 4 eyes tracked the tactical display with practiced precision, her chitinous fingers dancing across the command console of the infinite glory. The Krillian Empire's most formidable dreadnought hung in the void like a metallic predator, surrounded by a defensive formation that had never known defeat. "Status report," she clicked in the Empire's standard tongue, her mandibles gleaming under the bridge's azure lighting. "All systems nominal, Admiral," responded Commander Vexilon from his position at the sensor array. "The grid is holding perfectly. 64 heavy cruisers, 32 destroyer squadrons, and our full complement of fighters. The humans would need a fleet 10 times their size to even scratch our formation." Zexathara allowed herself a moment of satisfaction. The Krillian Empire had spent 3 centuries perfecting their military doctrine. Every ship knew its position, every weapon system had been calibrated to mathematical precision, and their energy, shields operated on principles the primitive humans couldn't possibly comprehend. When the war began, most Imperial strategists had laughed at the notion that these bipedal mammals could pose any real threat. "Long-range sensors are detecting spatial distortions," announced the sensor operator, her antennae twitching nervously. "Something's coming through hyperspace." "Let them come," Zexathara said, her voice carrying the confidence of absolute certainty. "How many ships?" I'm reading only 1 signature, Admiral." The bridge fell silent, except for the humming of various systems. 1 ship? Either the humans had finally developed something worth noticing, or they were about to witness the most spectacular act of suicide in galactic history. "Distance? Emerging in 3, 2, 1. The fabric of space-time twisted, and reality seemed to fold in on itself. What emerged from the dimensional rift wasn't the sleek, symmetrical design philosophy that dominated Imperial engineering. Instead, a massive wedge of dark metal materialized, angular, brutal, and covered in weapons that seemed to have been mounted wherever there was space. "Analysis!" Zexathara demanded, though something cold was beginning to creep up her spine. "Length approximately 2 kilometers, Admiral. Mass readings are unusual. The ship appears to be constructed from materials we don't recognize. Energy signatures are completely alien to our database." The human vessel hung motionless for several heartbeats, as if studying the Imperial formation. Then, without warning or communication, it began to move forward, not with the careful maneuvering of a military vessel, but with the inexorable advance of a natural disaster. "They're not even trying to communicate," Vexilon observed. "Should we hail them?" "Open a channel," Zexathara ordered. "This is Admiral Zexathara of the Krillian Imperial Navy. You are outnumbered and outgunned. Surrender now, and you will be treated according to the Galactic Convention of—" The response came, not in words but in violence. The human warship's weapons opened fire, and Zexathara's world transformed into chaos. The first salvo wasn't energy-based like Imperial weapons. Instead, solid projectiles moving at relativistic speeds punched through the formation's outer perimeter. 3 heavy cruisers simply ceased to exist, their debris scattered across several cubic kilometers of space. "Impossible!" Vexilon shrieked. "Our shields should have— Return fire! All units, concentrate on that ship." The Imperial formation responded with textbook precision. Hundreds of energy beams lanced out, enough firepower to vaporize a small moon. The beams struck the human vessel and scattered. The dark hull seemed to drink in the energy, absorbing it without so much as a scorch mark. "Admiral, our weapons are having no effect." But the human ship wasn't finished. As it carved through the Imperial formation, its guns continued their relentless bombardment. Each shot was perfectly placed, finding gaps in armor, striking at critical systems, or simply overwhelming targets through sheer kinetic force. Zexathara watched in growing horror as her perfectly organized defense crumbled. The humans weren't following any tactical doctrine she recognized. They didn't maneuver to avoid incoming fire. They simply ignored it. They didn't try to maintain. formation integrity. They carved straight through the center of the Imperial fleet like a blade through silk. "How are they targeting us so precisely?" she demanded. "Unknown, Admiral. Their sensors seem to be reading our ship's internal structure somehow. They're hitting critical systems with surgical precision." The Infinite Glory shuddered as the human warship approached. Zexathara could see it clearly now through the main viewer, a monument to pragmatic brutality. Every surface bristled with weapons, and strange energy patterns danced across its hull like living lightning. "All power to forward shields," she ordered. "Ram them if necessary." The human ship fired once more. A single projectile, no larger than a fighter craft, struck the Infinite Glory's primary shield generator. The shield collapsed instantly, and secondary explosions began racing through the dreadnought's superstructure. As emergency lights bathed the bridge in crimson, Zexathara realized the terrible truth. The Krillian Empire's 3 centuries of military supremacy meant nothing because they had never faced an enemy like this. The humans didn't fight like a civilized species. They fought like the universe itself, raw, inexorable, and utterly without mercy. The human warship passed by the crippled Infinite Glory without even slowing down, continuing its journey deeper into Imperial space. Behind it, the pride of the Krillian Navy floated in ruins, a testament to the day everything changed. In the damaged communications array, a single message broadcasted on all frequencies in perfect Krillian. "This is the UES Defiance. Surrender is no longer an option. Humanity has come to collect what you took from us. We suggest you remember how to pray to whatever gods you still believe in." Admiral Zexathara closed her eyes and tried not to think about what the Empire had done to the human colonies in the Outer Rim. Tried not to think about the reports she had dismissed as exaggerated propaganda. The humans, it seemed, did not forgive, and they most certainly did not forget. The war was no longer a matter of imperial expansion. It had become a question of survival.